Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. Wendy O here noticing something. Is Gary Gensler pivoting on his crypto security stance? In the past, the SEC claimed that every crypto asset was a security and was litigating to prove it. Now he just wants proper disclosures? A bit of an about-face, don't you think?
Polkadot, Cordana, Cosmos, Immutable, Ronin, Bonk, Osmosis, Sushi Swap, My Neighbor Alice have all traded millions. I'm talking about millions of dollars this very morning. Now, should we have a Sushi Swap with maybe an ETF or the proprietary kind? Just I would think that Bonk is a natural and Osmosis. These are trading Gary, these are millions of dollars. These things are traded. Shouldn't we have it? Shouldn't we have some sort of product?
Let me say something more broadly about the crypto markets. Right now, without prejudging anyone, these tokens, whether they're the ones Jim listed or other tokens, have not given you the disclosures that you not only need to make your investment decisions, but also that are required by the law. It's a basic concept in our securities market. We, the SEC, tomorrow are turning 90. Happy birthday, SEC, 90. And what President Roosevelt did is he created this commission to oversee that you, the investors, get disclosure. And in the crypto markets, they aren't giving you that disclosure. And secondly, that exchanges, like here, this floor of the New York Stock Exchange, get properly regulated to protect against fraud and manipulation, and they don't trade against you. And these crypto exchanges, Jim, are doing things we would never allow this New York Stock Exchange to do. Our laws don't allow you to trade against your customers. And so you've seen the bankruptcies in this space, and there are some of the most leading lights in this field are either in jail, about to go to jail, or waiting extradition.
Okay, well, it's a suboptimal situation for them, but I'm looking at the...
But it's a suboptimal situation for investors. You're investing in a field right now that you're not getting the proper disclosure.
I agree, there's securities for people actually I know. I mean, their names. And there's nothing... You know that, too.
That's funny, yeah.
I mean, some people even in this room have their names attached to a coin for no reason. Makes no sense.
I'm sorry, you guys have coins?
No, we don't.
There's a Kramer coin?
There should be, but there isn't.
Yes, there is a Kramer coin.
I hope it's properly registered.
Well, I wasn't going to bring it up because now it's a pump and dump. Like, wow, Kramer coin. I was not going to bring it up, but there you go.
Chair Gensler, wait. We have only a little bit of time.
But the
left.
SEC versus Ripple Labs.
Ripple.
Right, Dave, what do you want to ask?
There you go. I've got the floor.
Thanks.
There's that clip again. Yeah, he lost that one. But you hear what Gary Gensler said before, okay? Now, you couple this with Hester Peirce said just recently, the new sandbox proposal that she was suggesting would in fact point to a more bullish crypto market in the United States. So that is interesting. Unfortunately, the bank's drive to tokenize assets has moved slower than expected, thanks to Gary Gensler, this one courtesy of Bank XRP. We've been seeing moves, guys, but just not fast enough. Banks, which for years have talked about creating tokenized versions of assets like bonds and currencies, say a shift to blockchain-based trading is taking longer than expected, with some investors cautious about the idea. By creating tokenized assets, usually blockchain-based tokens, to represent holdings of mainstream assets such as currencies or bonds, banks hope to make it more efficient, faster and cheaper to trade, and easier to record who owns what. We know the story. If you guys didn't catch this morning's video, I do urge you to watch that. I will link it up here in the top right-hand corner. Basically, DTCC, okay, they are saying they are on the track, they are the market, and they are on track to create a digital asset space. Unfortunately, it's moving at a snail's pace. Like molasses, it's moving slowly. But once that jar gets tipped over, guys, and the regulations come into play, well, that's it. People will be trading cryptocurrencies like it was going out of style. It's a new asset class. Institutional money want to get in at the ground level. Luckily for you and I, we are already in this at the ground level. You know, if you guys have purchased your Bitcoin or your XRP or your Solana or whatever you guys hold, some of you guys have been in this for a couple of cycles. You know, you probably bought down in here, maybe down in here, or even if you bought down in here or down in here, this would have been the best time to buy for this cycle. We're in it basically before all the institutions. And, you know, in this morning's video, I also talked about Jenny. Forget her last name, but she's the CEO over there at Franklin Templeton, saying that the first wave has already occurred, okay? All the institutional money going into Bitcoin ETFs right now, that was the first wave, but guys, the second wave has yet to come. So I'm getting very excited, even though it is taking a long time. And I also think they're putting everything on the blockchain for not just ease of use and, because the technology exists, I guess we should implement this new technology. I think it's going to be a lot simpler to streamline the whole global financial system. And because we're assuming there will be a collapse, when things are going to shift to, let's say, gold, it'll be a heck of a lot easier to get everybody on board, whether it's governments or banks or whoever. The whole shift is going to be a lot easier once this new financial system is put into place. Here's another warning. Jim Rickards stating just this on Fox Business, courtesy of Digital Asset Investor.
Fiat currencies do supplant each other over time, but it's a very slow process. Classic case, sterling was at its peak in about 1914. By 1944, Bretton Woods, it was sort of a footnote. But that took 30 years. It didn't happen overnight. So is the dollar running into a lot of headwinds? Actually, I always say that the world cannot destroy the dollar, but the U.S. can do it itself, and we're doing a pretty good job of that. But you're right. A dollar, round numbers, is about 60% of global payments. It's the currency of about 60% of global reserves, so it's still the king of the hill. You can forget about there's not going to be a gold-backed Chinese yuan. Forget about that. China doesn't have enough gold. Russian ruble is not going to displace it. Russia and China don't have the rule of law or the bond markets. Those are key things about being reserve currency. The BRICS currency is coming along, but it's going to take another 5 to 10 years. The key thing there, it's easy to announce a currency, a payment currency. That's just a ledger entry. What you need is a large enough trading area where if I get some, I export and I get paid in BRICS, I can go shopping in 20 countries instead of 1 or 2 if I'm getting rubles or yuan. They're not there yet, but they're adding members every year. They'll add some more at the summit in Russia in October. That'll take a few more years. However, the rival to gold is already here, and it's the one you pointed to. The rival to the dollar, rather, is already here, and it's the one you pointed to. It's gold. Right now, by the way, very few people realize this. The United States has 70% of its reserves in gold. Now, we don't need foreign currencies because we print the dollar, but that's the data. Russia has 25% of its reserves in gold. China has about 8% of its reserves in gold. Those numbers are both going up. Interestingly, when you look at the IMF data on currency shares, they have dollar, euro, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, and so forth. They give you all the data. You can compute the percentages quickly. They don't include gold, which is weird because the IMF itself has over 1,000 metric tons of gold. So when you put gold in the picture, 2 things are happening. Number one, the inversion was 2010. That's when central bank gold reserves started going up. That's accelerating. And now the U.S. is just a week away. June 13th, G7 summit in Italy. The U.S. is going to lead an effort to steal $300 billion of Russian-owned assets in the form of U.S. Treasury securities. When that happens, you're going to see again, the Treasury market's not going to collapse. I don't want to overstate this, but at the margin, if you can't trust the Treasury, do you really want Italian, German, or Japanese bonds? I don't think so. You're going to want gold.
They're all going to be clamoring for gold. It is a global standard that everyone sees as valuable. So some other interesting points that Jim Rickards mentions here. Another 5 to 10 years for a possible BRICS currency. So, that's not knocking on our doorstep, at least not right away. We are going to be seeing a transition over time. And, this is why Ripple is getting ready. Globally, it's been a lot easier for Ripple to become compliant with the various different countries around the world. But now in the United States, this is kind of the last challenge, I guess, for Ripple. And this is Rahul Advani, I guess I should say, Rahul Advani, discussing all the licenses that Ripple has acquired over the last several years. 40 of them are now in the United States.
Right now, regulation is at the state level. Right?
Yeah, state level, yeah.
So Ripple has about 40 money transfer licenses in the US.
At
the state level, across the various states. We also have a BIT license in New York. We also have a trust license through Standard Custody, who we just acquired out of New York as well. At the same time, we're regulated in Singapore. We have a major payments institution license in Singapore from the Monetary Authority of Singapore. We're also regulated in Ireland by the Central Bank of Ireland. We're on the VASP registry. So we're looking at, the universe of, regulators out there and which would be the appropriate fit for us. But the intent is to be a regulated stablecoin.
Okay.
So I guess the beginning of that clip got cut off a little bit, but ultimately they are looking to be a regulated stablecoin. Of course, they have done their due diligence and put the work in to do just that. Now, Ripple partners are also making advancements like this one from BS2 Bank. Courtesy of Mike Manfield here, BS2 Bank has selected Ripple partner Neum for cross-border payments. So another partnership here with a Ripple partner. BS2 will use Neum's global FX products to lower FX costs and provide more real-time payouts between Brazil and popular trading corridors like the UAE and China. BS2 will also join Neum's network of partner banks, acting as Neum's Brazilian Real correspondent bank and assisting real-time payment settlement for cross-border transfers from Brazil's instant payment network PIX. That is interesting. You know, if they are going to be the go-to for the Brazilian Real, the correspondent banking connection, that is big news. Here's a quote. BS2 is both a valued client and strategic partner solving our needs for real-time payments in Brazil, but also providing their customers with access to transparent, competitive foreign exchange rates. And that is where the XRP comes in, leveraging the liquidity so that these guys can trade, exchange currencies at competitive rates. Neum's banking network is comprised of global banks, national banks, and payment service providers to provide a versatile and robust payment product suite. As a Neum Bank partner, BS2 will allow Neum to add stability and redundancy to its network, adding more capabilities for real-time transfers to and from Brazil. I was actually surprised when I heard their banking network. I guess they're not necessarily partners, but just companies that they are connected to comprise of global banks, national banks, and payment service providers. You know, this is just part of that web that these Ripple partners are weaving to create a more robust infrastructure, global connectivity, so that XRP utility can be used throughout the world. So just another update there, courtesy of Mike Manfield. Wanted to thank him for posting that. We also got Monica Long, guys, discussing in more detail about the Ripple stablecoin and the launch date. It's coming up.
Monica, I want to move away from the markets onto Ripple, because you made a big announcement earlier this year around a Ripple stablecoin. Why?
U.S. dollar stablecoins are a major market. So stablecoins overall today are about $160 billion in market cap. You see projections of this market reaching about $3 trillion within the next 4 to 5 years. And I think that's for a few reasons. One is just demand to hold U.S. dollars, easy access to U.S. dollars in various parts of the world. Two, for payments, which has been the core of our business for many years. So the reason we're entering this market is we see demand from our customers, financial institutions of various types, who want to use blockchain for more efficient global payments and want to do it using a U.S. dollar stable. Ripple, you know, we have a 10-plus year legacy of being a very trusted, compliant, secure player in the enterprise space. So I think we're a great candidate to bring a trusted U.S. dollar stable to the market.
A lot of people wanted me to ask this question. When are you planning to launch it?
We're working on it right now, and you can expect to see more from us later this year.
So is it likely going to launch this year then?
Likely.
Have you begun buying the assets to back that at the moment as well?
We're working on all of the things you need to do in order to bring a product like this to market. So everything from the banking relationships to the distribution relationships to compliance. That's number one for us, is making sure that we are, abiding by the rules and regs per jurisdiction, have the right licensing.
And just the relationship between the stablecoin and XRP. Obviously, you use XRP in some of your products in terms of the cross-border. If you've got the stablecoin, is there a need for XRP in this mix?
Absolutely. We use a mix of assets to serve our payments customers, so including stablecoins as well as XRP. The use case for XRP in particular is as it was envisioned by the original creators of the ledger and of XRP, and that is as a bridge asset for the long tail of currency pairs. And we're talking about tokenization of other types of assets. In the future, when you have new types of assets tokenized on chain, having a really efficient intermediary bridge asset to make any pair liquid is important.
A lot more information about the Ripple stablecoin there. Looking to launch later this year. That is positive. They're getting their ducks in a row. And also just a comment on XRP as well. It is still going to be used not just for cross-border payments, and maybe even moving away from that cross-border payment use case, but the use case now to tokenize everything, which I think is even better because there's going to be a lot to be tokenized on the blockchain, and XRP demand will rise. as those use cases come into play. So great clip here from Monica Long. Wanted to thank Bank XRP for posting that. Also happened to see this, guys. Ripple partner Finastra partnered with Oro Bank. Finastra announced today that its technology is now powering Oro Bank. The new cloud-first institution serves individuals and businesses in Bhutan and around the world with specific focus on providing safe, innovative, and sustainable banking. So another banking partnership here. They're looking to promote economic growth, as mentioned in this article. And here's a quote: "We are Asia's first full reserve digital bank, and we believe in safe and sustainable banking, providing peace of mind for our customers with our full reserve banking ethos, avoiding pitfalls of the fractional reserve system." So wanting to keep it all above board. Aligned with the principles of the gross national happiness philosophy, we're bringing financial infrastructure to enable personal, corporate, and financial growth in an environmentally, socially, and economically sustainable manner. In addition to serving the mindfulness city, we aspire to become the preferred bank for global startups and innovate emerging businesses. So running on the XRP ledger obviously would benefit the environment and a more sustainable operation to power banks as opposed to traditional systems. So some more great news here coming from Ripple partner Finastra, now powering Oro Bank. I just wanted to go back for a second with regards to what Jim Rickards was saying at the top of this video. Did you guys see this from Eco to Truth? For the first time, we have figures to reflect the dollar to silver and dollar to gold ratios on the debt clock. I had to bring up the debt clock here to show you guys. Now we're at, for dollar to silver, we're at 153 per ounce, and dollar to gold, we're at 1,117 per ounce. I had a feeling that these numbers were listed before. We're going to do some digging, guys. But after months of contraction, the M2 money supply has recently seen an addition of over 50 billion, signaling a shift towards growth. So the US debt clock now displays a striking 153 per ounce for silver, highlighting the escalating demand for precious metals as a hedge against economic uncertainties. It's essential to note that there are nearly 400 paper contracts for each ounce of silver, indicating not only a potential short squeeze, but also a significant reset of the global monetary system. I've noticed that these numbers have actually gone further down as more money has been printed. So that is not a good sign. I took it upon myself to go to the debt clock here, and I wanted to just take a random date in July of 2019. I believe this is July. Is that July 2019? No, it's June 2019. I just wanted to take a date before the pandemic. Because before the pandemic, we were not getting any of these numbers on the debt clock. Again, this is from the Wayback Machine Internet Archive online. You guys can see there is no dollar to gold, no dollar to silver ratio here. But then as we get into the pandemic, okay, so July 2020, I'm going to click on that and let that refresh. And I'm just picking a random date in July of 2020. Okay, so kind of right at the beginning, middle of the pandemic, you guys can see dollar to silver ratio and dollar to gold ratio. For silver, that's at 3,640 per ounce. And for dollar to gold, that's at 30,188 per ounce. Now, as you guys can see, as the pandemic wore on and as more money was being printed, let's go to July 2022. These numbers did change. Dollar to silver ratio now at 1,895. And dollar to gold at 13,961. And today, guys, we're at 153 per ounce for silver and 1,117 per ounce for gold. So a resetting of the monetary system, I think, this trend moving towards more dollars active, but also, you got to think about it. If these dollars become next to worthless, we do need to switch to a new method of value. And as Jim Rickard did say over here, you're going to want gold, you're going to want silver as well, just by extension. And you're going to want to be able to tokenize these assets on a new financial system. 801 XRP here posting this. I wanted to play this clip of Stephen Lynch, okay? The script is flipping and the stars are aligning. I'm going to play this shorter clip here, courtesy of Subjective Views. Listen to this.
So let's just sort of think about this. You've got a bunch of different tokenization systems. And you want, ideally, you do want different countries, you want global commerce. Wouldn't you need a central bank, sort of one central, not necessarily reserve, well, sort of like a reserve currency where everybody could exchange their tokenized assets and trade them? Wouldn't that require one central bank currency to sort of settle all that out? That one that everybody recognizes and respects?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the benefits of tokenization depend on there being a settlement asset, right? And some people say that stablecoins should be a settlement asset. I think that is a terrible reason because of all the fragilities of stablecoins that I've testified about before. So I really think that the settlement asset has to be some kind of central bank money, ultimately.
All right.
And if you want that on the ledger, it's probably going to have to take the form of some kind of central bank digital currency. Now, this doesn't have to be a retail product, and I want to emphasize that because I'm not sure where I sit on retail central bank digital currencies, but a wholesale, the plumbing, central bank digital currencies, something like that would be needed as a settlement.
But obviously, if the Federal Reserve Bank is not allowed to operate in that space, it's going to be a central bank, some other central bank. It won't be ours. It'll be, EU or China or some other central bank that'll be the settlement, the central bank currency of choice.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works without the U.S. Fed being able to issue us.
The gentleman's time's up.
Well, Subjective Views understands, hey, Congress, XRP is a settlement asset. It does not have to be issued by a central bank at all. And it can be agnostic. It doesn't even have to belong to any particular country. I think David Schwartz sums it up best right here. Here's an X-Basis clip that I wanted to play for you guys. Listen to this.
If countries start to realize that the U.S. dollar is not going to be the reserve currency forever, other things are going to be the reserve currency, and the same thing that we saw with banks. Like people, when we started selling software to banks, people would say to me, why would a bank use something that like you guys were selling them when they could use something that was like made by banks? And what they didn't realize is that, only like 10 banks in the country, on the planet, are Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Credit Suisse, JP Morgan Chase, like the ones who would build a system that the entire planet would run on. For the rest of the banks, that's 6,000 smaller banks, those are their biggest, strongest competitors. Those are the entities they hate the most. They would not want to use the system built and maintained by them because it's going to be biased in favor of them, their biggest and strongest competitors. And I think the same thing could happen to nations. Like every nation would love for their currency to be the world reserve currency. That's helped the U.S., that's grown the U.S. economy, quote unquote, unfairly by leaps and bounds for decades. And every other country would be like, yeah, we'd like to have the world be the world's reserve currency. But the only countries that could possibly pull it off is the U.S. holding its position, maybe the EU, maybe Russia, maybe one or two others. But realistically, most countries know that if there's going to be a new world reserve currency that's a country's currency, it's not going to be them. And so they might actually prefer a currency that nobody can control to one that's controlled by their largest geopolitical rivals. And so that's like what I think is the biggest possible success scenario for digital assets. If these countries are like, okay, well, the U.S. dollar can't hold on forever, but it's not going to be our currency because no one's going to want to repeat the U.S. dollar scenario. Nobody but the EU wants the EU to replace the dollar, right? Nobody but Russia wants the ruble to replace the dollar. Nobody but China wants the yuan to replace the dollar. So maybe they could settle on a currency that nobody could control rather than one controlled by their most powerful geopolitical rival. So if you want a success scenario, that's the one that I think is the most likely.
I couldn't agree more, David. So the signals are pointing there. A great financial reset where precious metals could be the standard before we get another reserve currency up off the ground. Maybe a BRICS currency will have more dominance in 5 to 10 years. In the meantime, though, guys, a settlement asset is going to be needed, and XRP is perfectly placed. Oh yeah, and they already have all the partnerships. How convenient. Just my opinion, though. I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.